Okay, so let's get into this. Picture this scene from our source material. The author, Olga Khazan, she's in Miami. Beautiful day, right?
Sounds nice.
Yeah, supposed to be. She's there for a professional photo shoot. Her writing's getting published. You'd think dream come true.
Absolutely.
But no, it turns into this complete meltdown. She's actually screaming that her life is, quote, nonstop stress and torture, hating everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, even says something dramatic like, we're not having a kid. And this is all triggered by, like, trying to get groceries and handle work emails after this photo shoot she really didn't enjoy. And she kind of realizes the problem isn't just the outside stuff, the chaos. It's her reaction, you know? Something deep inside making everything feel impossible.
That story really sets things up perfectly, doesn't it? It captures that feeling so many people have.
Right.
That some parts of how you are feel less like you and more like, I don't know, roadblocks.
Exactly. Obstacles.
And it leads us right to the big question in your sources.
Yeah.
Can you actually fundamentally change your personality?
Yeah.
Are we sort of stuck with who we are, these patterns we have, or can we genuinely become maybe a different version?
It's such a huge question. And it's interesting because, well, the thinking on this has shifted quite a bit, hasn't it?
Oh, definitely.
For ages, the idea, even from big thinkers like William James, was kind of like, once your habits lock in, that's it. You're on that track.
The enormous flywheel, he called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personality felt pretty well set in stone for a long time.
So how did the science start to move away from that? What changed?
Well, what really started gaining ground was this idea of traits. If you go back to, say, the 1920s, you had different camps.
Okay.
You had Freud focusing on the deep subconscious stuff, right? But then you had others like Gordon Allport who thought the real key was looking at these distinct, measurable traits that make people different.
Ah, right, the trait idea.
And that trait-based approach, that's what really stuck. It eventually led to the model that's, well, pretty much the standard today.
The Big Five. Okay, yeah. That's the framework lots of personality tests use. And the author, she took one, and the results were pretty eye-opening for her, right?
They were.
Let's quickly lay those 5 out for everyone.
Sure. So first you've got neuroticism. That's basically your tendency towards negative emotions, anxiety, worry, sadness, that kind of thing. Then extroversion. That's about how sociable, energetic, assertive you are.
Okay. And openness to experience, that's creativity, curiosity, being up for new things.
Exactly. Then comes agreeableness. Think kindness, empathy, getting along with others.
Got it.
And the last one is conscientiousness. That's your organization, discipline, reliability factor.
And the author's results really hit home, didn't they? She scored super low on extroversion.
Right.
And really high on neuroticism, which, you know, fits perfectly with that Miami meltdown story.
It really does. These tests basically put you on a spectrum for each trait. And the thing is, research actually shows these scores can predict behavior to some extent.
Yeah, how you might react in certain situations.
Exactly. They give us a sort of language to talk about these relatively stable patterns. So our mission here, in this deep dive, using your sources, is to really explore if those patterns can shift.
Okay.
Where you look at the science, the personal stories in the material, and, you know, what does personality change actually involve? The effort, the hurdles, maybe some strategies.
What's fascinating reading through the sources is that, you know, Hollywood loves the big, sudden personality switch.
Oh, yeah, the overnight transformation.
Right. But the research seems to say, well, change is possible, but it's usually way more gradual, slow.
Less about one big revelation and more about, well, consistent, sometimes really hard effort over time.
Yeah, painstaking even.
Which ties into that idea of faking it till you make it. That pops up a lot.
Right.
The core idea isn't really changing how you feel first. It's about intentionally changing what you do, your behaviors, your actions, day in, day out.
Repeatedly.
Exactly. The sources mention researchers like Nathan Hudson. His studies, like one called You Have to Follow Through, they basically showed that people who set specific goals linked to traits like, say, talk to one new person today. If you want to boost extroversion and actually do it, they're more likely to see real shifts in those traits down the line.
And their author's own story really illustrates this across the different traits she wanted to work on, like her high neuroticism, that anxiety.
Yeah.
It made even small things feel like massive emergencies. She tried a bunch of stuff, meditation, mindfulness, MBSR, even those sensory deprivation tanks.
Oh, she really went for it.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy. She talks about struggling to focus or even just falling asleep during the exercises sometimes. There's this like deep internal internal pushback.
That resistance, yeah.
That Zen concept from D.T. Suzuki, the ego shell, that protective layer we build, she felt like it was incredibly tough to break out of, even when it was making her miserable. It felt safer inside, even if it was a bad kind of safe.
That friction is so key, and you see it with her extroversion efforts too, right? After getting that low score, she deliberately pushed herself, joined meetup groups, tried improv comedy, which sounds terrifying to me, frankly.
Me too. And a sailing club. But she's honest about how awkward it felt, like just saying, okay, when someone asked her name after lockdown because she forgot how to interact.
Oh, wow. That's relatable awkwardness, though.
Totally. Or just feeling clumsy trying to chat with strangers.
But it highlights that sometimes you really do have to act your way into feeling differently.
Yeah.
You might not feel like being social, but just doing the thing, committing to the action, can actually chip away at loneliness and build new habits.
Which brings us to a really crucial idea from the sources, especially from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT.
Right, ACT. It asks a really interesting question. Why do we avoid the uncomfortable stuff that change often requires?
Okay, why?
ACT suggests it's because the things we care most about, our deepest values, they often come bundled with vulnerability, with uncertainty.
Okay. So ACT pushes you to figure out what really matters to you.
Your core values.
Yeah. And then take steps towards those things, even if it feels scary or uncomfortable.
Precisely. There's a great story in there about Robert, a law student using ACT. He wanted to be more extroverted, less anxious, and he felt like he was constantly fighting his negative thoughts, like this tug of war inside his head. It was exhausting, and it wasn't working.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
His big breakthrough, drop the rope.
Drop the rope. I like that. Simple, but powerful.
It really is. It means stop wrestling with the difficult thoughts or feelings.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge they're there, but don't let them drain all your energy or control what you do.
Right.
Put that energy instead into moving toward your values. Like Annie Grace, the sobriety coach, also mentioned, says if you feel discomfort, ask yourself, okay, and then what happens?
Keep pulling that thread.
Yeah, pull the thread on the fear. Often that huge monster you're imagining is, well, just a feeling. And the anxiety about the feeling is often way worse than the feeling itself.
That makes so much sense. And this idea of focusing on action despite the discomfort, it applies to conscientiousness too, right?
Absolutely. The author struggled with organization, deadlines.
Okay.
She mentions people like Julia, who built a business and became more conscientious. Not through some massive internal shift necessarily,
So fun.
but just by consistently using tools and processes, calendars, to-do lists, setting timers, practical stuff.
So just doing the conscientious actions built momentum.
Exactly. Doing the behaviors associated with the trait seemed to reinforce the trait itself over time.
Interesting.
And for conscientiousness, the sources also bring up something called episodic future thinking, specifically the negative kind, actually.
Negative future thinking. That sounds kind of depressing.
It can be, but the idea is picturing a future where you haven't changed. Maybe you failed at a career goal, you're struggling financially, maybe health problems from inaction.
Right.
That potential future pain can actually make the discomfort of, say, being disciplined today feel less bad in comparison.
Okay. Like a motivator. The author imagined herself back, assembling IKEA furniture.
Yeah, if she didn't get serious in journalism school, it worked for her.
Wow. And finding role models helps too, it seems. There was Zach.
Right, Zach. Became more conscientious, partly by watching and learning from professors who believed in him.
So it's not just knowing you should be conscientious, but learning how from others.
It suggests that, learning the strategies can be really impactful.
And all these efforts, they seem to stick better when they're tied to something bigger, right? Like a personal project.
Yes, that seems crucial for keeping motivation up long term. Ken's story illustrates this. He made huge changes, lost a lot of weight, got more comfortable socially.
Wow.
By connecting those efforts to building something meaningful in his life. Maybe raising his kids differently, a big career goal, contributing to something he believed in.
So linking the daily grind to a larger purpose.
That seems to be the fuel. It helps you keep going when things inevitably get tough.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together from your sources. What are the main takeaways here?
Well, first, personality. It's not like it's carved in stone. Think more like clay. It can be shaped, but it takes consistent effort.
Okay, not fixed, gradual change.
Right, and often that involves faking it till you make it. You deliberately practice the behaviors of the trait you want, even when it feels weird or uncomfortable.
And the research, like Hudson's stuff, backs that up. Setting behavioral goals works.
Exactly. And crucially, instead of fighting those difficult feelings or thoughts.
Like the tug of war.
Yeah. Learning to just accept they're there, acknowledge them, but still take action, that dropping the row idea from ACT that seems vital.
Okay, acceptance, not struggle.
And finally, connecting those actions to what you deeply value, your why, that gives you the motivation to stick with it. Like Tim tying his changes to a meaningful personal project.
So understanding all this, hearing these stories from the source material, it can hopefully give you, the listener, a different way to look at your own challenges or things you'd like to shift.
Yeah, it offers insights into the science, but also the real world effort involved. It's all based on the specific material you provided for this deep dive.
And it keeps coming back to that discomfort, doesn't it, and acting anyway.
Yeah.
The author tells this story about crossing a busy highway in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like 4 lanes, no crosswalk. To get to the beach near her Airbnb, she had to wait for a gap, sprint to the tiny median, stand there terrified with cars zooming past, then wait for another gap and sprint the rest of the way. Super uncomfortable, terrifying even.
But she wanted the beach.
Exactly. It was the only way to get to something she valued.
That's such a great metaphor for personality change, isn't it?
It really is.
That feeling of dread.
Yeah.
The discomfort, whether it's crossing that metaphorical highway or stepping on an improv stage or facing down anxiety, month after month, she felt it. But she kind of ran into the traffic anyway. That's what the change looked like. Lots of fits and starts, but making sure the starts eventually won out.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. What part of your own ego shell, as Suzuki called it, feels the hardest to chip away at right now? And maybe what's one small, uncomfortable step you could possibly take today towards something you really value? Even if, just for a moment, it feels exactly like running into traffic.